what you're normally used to. And then, of course, we have the boy wonderful Ian Wallace.
And we have your friendly neighborhood Shelby Croto. And we are going to be going over a brief overview of both the Savage Avengers books 1 and the Batman and the Outsiders book 1. We're hoping to give you guys kind of a segue into reading this material, let you know what we think of it initially. And then in about a month or so, maybe 2, we're going to come back to review the first 4 or 5 issues of the book and give you a proper review of what's going on within the pages. So right now, kick back, relax, learn a little something about 2 brand new titles, and get our perspective on what we saw when we opened them up. And hopefully give us your perspective on what you saw when you opened them up. Without further ado, we're not going to be doing a good, bad, and the ugly for this because it's too early to judge this material because there's only been 1 book per, title. So we're just going to go over what we read, what we think about it, and hopefully get you guys to check it out and let us know what you read and what you thought about it. With that said, we are going to we're going to have Shelby open it up and tell you a little something about the Savage Avengers. Shelby?
So, the Savage Avengers, I mean, obviously, you all are probably wondering who has concocted this. So, the writers is Gary Dugan, artist Mike Diodato Jr., letterers Travis Lanham, colorist Frank Martin Jr. The creators were, again, Gary Dugan, Mike Diodato Jr., and the editors were Tom Brevoort, Alana Smith, and Shannon Andrews. And I'm going to kick it over to Ian. He's going to give you kind of like a brief intro or whatever to kind of what the story's segueing into. Ian?
Okay, this is going to be a little trickier than normal because usually me and Shelby know what the hell we're talking about. And this time we don't because it's just 1 issue and we're not really sure about where this project is going or whence it came. But I do know that this is tied loosely into the War of the Realms that is going on in Marvel right now. I'm not 100% up on War of the Realms either. I'm actually going to be starting reading that. I just picked up the books yesterday, so I'm going to be actually starting reading that tonight. I have no idea what's going on, but I do know somehow Conan the Barbarian is in the Marvel Universe. And Asgard and all this other stuff, and the War of the Realms and everything that's going on, somehow got Conan to be in the Marvel Universe, and he's here, and he's going to be staying for a while. With that said, I'm not sure what War of the Realms has to do with Savage Avengers, but obviously when we come back for the review, I'll be able to let you know. For now, Conan's starting off, coming off of whatever conflict happened in War of the Realms, and he ends up in the Savage Land. One of the things I love about this project is that the locations, they're giving up some real staple old school Marvel locations I haven't seen in a while. It's been a while since I've seen the Savage Land integrated into anything. It was a brief stint where the X-Men were there for a second in a couple of X-Men books, but to see the Savage Land referred to this many times in such a short time is an awesome thing. Madripoor was also brought up. Another awesome location in the Marvel Universe, one that Wolverine frequents and that many heroes and villains have sprung from the hand, is originally their base of operations was in Madripoor. So now you have Conan in the Savage Land looking for, obviously, something to steal or someone to kill. And he happens across hand ninjas, which was kind of awesome that the hand ninjas were in the Savage Land. And he ends up fighting them and making a rough ally, so to speak. Him and Wolverine cross paths in the beginning of this book. And there is a fight between Conan the Barbarian and Wolverine. And if for no other reason, pick this title up to be able to read this fight panel for panel, because it is easily one of the most savage blow-for-blow fights I've seen in Marvel Comics in a very long time. So for no other reason, definitely check out the exchange between Conan and Wolverine. Obviously, this is a story of how these Savage Avengers came together. There's going to be plenty of art throughout this overview of who's on the team. But just to kind of give you guys an idea, I do know for a fact there is Brother Voodoo, the Punisher, Elektra, Conan, Venom, and Wolverine. So far are the 6 members that I know about. But going forward, who knows? Who knows? The Savage Avengers may grow in numbers. And that's pretty much all I know about the story going in. I will say that one of the things that really surprised me or is making me want to read the second issue is that in order for, these, okay, well, I guess I'm getting a little ahead of myself. There's this new villain in this book, in the Savage Land, who is gathering all the best blood on the planet from warriors, magicians, intelligent people, whatever else have you, I guess to call some ancient demon or god or whatever to give them their powers or give them longevity or whatever have you. But given that he's trying to summon this demon, he needs the best blood in the world. So you need the blood of all the best warriors. Well, they stole Frank Castle's family's coffins, and in an attempt to lure him to the Savage Land and to be able to kill him to use his blood for this ritual sacrifice. But I don't think they realize that the Punisher coming looking for his dead family is going to be good for anybody. But I guess these guys are going to find out the hard way that you don't mess with the castles, dead or alive. You don't mess with the castles. But yeah, outside of that, that's what's bringing all these different people together. This new villain wants to culminate all of the world's best warriors and killers, and he's starting with some of the Marvel Universe's best and brightest. We've named a few of those people. I'm going to kick it over to Shelby and get her idea of what the exchange between Wolverine and Conan was like for her, and also what she got going into this place. Because as a newer, I'm going to say a new reader, I'll say as a newer reader of some of these places that have not been utilized as much, like Madripoor and the Savage Land, I just want to kind of get an idea of what you think about them using these locations and what your first take is, because this is pretty much your first trip to Madripoor in a comic book or whatever. So it's kind of awesome to get your perspective on that. So I'm going to kick it over to Shelby and let me know what you think about that.
So I was actually kind of surprised on how much I enjoyed this, if that's a little weird, because I mean, sometimes you go into it and you're like, oh, I'm not really sure how I'm going to feel about this, but I actually really enjoyed it. I do want to throw out that the edition we read was the director's edition, so the layout is a little weird to kind of get the hang of. First, they kind of have all the words and the letters and pretty much the conversation piece, and then they kind of had the cover of everything, and then they kind of had the artwork. So the layout was a little weird to kind of get the hang of, but I actually still thoroughly enjoyed reading this. And I mean, kind of my first time actually reading about the Savage Land was in a previous review we had did, one of the X-Men comics we had read.
I forget which one that was. Was it
Was
Inhumans versus X-Men or?
Yeah, Inhumans versus Mutants.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my first time kind of reading about it, and this one kind of was more in depth about it, because I know the other one, they weren't really like in the Savage, like they had went in the Savage Land, but it wasn't really as much a part of the story as it is with this one, obviously.
Yeah, this basically takes place in the Savage Land.
Exactly. So it's kind of cool to like see that dynamic, and then I mean, the battle between Conan and Wolverine, I was not expecting that, and I'm like, it was just so raw and dirty. I'm like, I loved it. It was probably one of those battles I wouldn't think I want to see, but I definitely want to see more of it.
Yes.
So I definitely feel like they might have some more battles going into this, because I'm like, obviously two really stubborn, bullheaded guys just clashing all the time. I'm definitely curious to see how this dynamic is going to play out going on in this. So, I mean, that's kind of like my brief overview of it so far. I mean, obviously, it's only one issue in. We don't really have too much to go on about it, but I mean, so far, I'm thoroughly enjoying reading this.
To say the very least, pick it up. It is a motley crew and a group of people who are known to not play nice with others. So to see them in a team dynamic, it's worth just breezing through and checking it out. So please, if you do not have a copy, we will be, after this overview, releasing the first digital comic of the Savage Avengers in the group chat, in the group. So we'll make sure to tag everyone, and you'll be able to read it for free if you want. Definitely check it out. We're going to move along and get into our next book, but Savage Avengers is definitely a read you want to get into, and we promise to come back with a review to give you guys a complete and robust review of exactly what's going on within the pages.